So as we had discussed initially, Java is an object-oriented programming language. So there are many features of OOP which we have to have a good command on. Okay. Among the first feature of OOP is class. Okay. So as freshers, you all will be asked questions on features of OOPs a lot. So those who are going to apply as a fresher, this is the question which you should be investing time and doing your research on a lot. Okay, even if you can master these six features, will be more than sufficient for you all to answer this question of features of OOP. Among the first is class. Now, to understand what is a class, we have to fall back on the ER diagram. You all do ER diagram in your software engineering, anyone? Okay, so in ER diagram, you would have an entity, right? And how would we represent entity? Entity would be represented as a rectangle, correct? So let's say if I take the entity mobile. So entity can be any real world thing. So mobile. Now what would entity have? Attributes. Yes. So this is so what were the attributes of a mobile or what are the attributes of a mobile? The specifications. When you go and buy a mobile online, what specifications do you look at while buying? Okay, you look okay. You go to with the storage. Okay, how much? Okay, you go with the storage that is a how much ROM it has, right? ROM is okay, this is your storage. Just keep it storage. 512 watt. And then you have the memory. Memory will be your RAM. Okay, 8 GB, 16 GB, 32 GB. Then you go with the screen size, battery backup, blah blah blah. And there are many more things: price, color, manufacturer name. You see a lot of things. Okay. Now when I buy this mobile and I unbox it and I bring it home, what for what purpose have I bought this mobile for? What functionalities can this mobile perform? What task or behavior can this mobile perform? Why have I purchased it? Yes, anyone? What are the activities of a mobile? What are yes, what we can do with it? Okay. Okay, so we'll give it. We can say we can call the basic purpose of the mobile is what calling, right? If you cannot call with it and you are trying to store and do transaction, why did you buy a mobile? You should have bought a laptop. So call is there, messages is there. At times you have to keep things very simple, Umer. Instead of complicating matters, no, you have to keep it very simple. So call, we can message, we can take a photo, or we can use it as an alarm, as a torch, blah blah blah, right? So there are other utility functions the torch, the mobile performs. utility functions are there, and then you can use a multimedia also, and you can then install apps and carry out each performance. So if you want to do food ordering, do a food ordering app. Okay, okay. So now my question is, how many shapes do you see on the screen? Okay, how many two-dimensional shapes do you all see on the screen? Yes, how many two-dimensional shapes do you all see on the screen? Three. So this is an oval, this is a rectangle, and this is a diamond, right? So the entity which is the rectangle is the class. Okay, the entity which is in the rectangle is the class, and the ovals can be thought of as the class's data members. Okay, so whatever comes in your mind, data members you can say, property also they also call as attributes of the class. Okay, data members, properties, or attributes of the class. So the ovals are the data members of the class, and the diamonds are the behavior, yeah, behavior, function, method. Okay, so when we go with Java, we normally stick to the method as a vocabulary. Okay, and to the attributes you can say as properties. Okay, so the bundling of all the attributes and the methods into one single unit, that is called as your encapsulation. So I will bundle the properties and the methods into a single unit. This single unit is called as class. So class contains the data also and the methods which can access that data. In simple terms, this is what a class looks like in theory. Okay. So the reason we use a class is an extension of structure. So those who have studied data structures will realize that the class is just an extension of the data structure. So if I open up this paint scene again, and if I say struct mobile, what am I saying? The mobile class or structure? So let's take simple attributes. Let's say integer, IMEI number. Okay. Then character array, manufacturer name of let's say 20, and character array, model name, which model the phone is of 20, and let's take double prime. Let's just take these attributes. And when I say semicolon, what all is there in this structure? Only the attributes and properties, right? Does the structure contains method? No. So, so the limitation of a structure compared to a class is any Tom, Dick, and Harry function can come and have direct access to the structure. It just needs to create an object of that structure, and it can go and directly access the attributes of that structure. So if I say struct mobile M1, so now which in which method is this M1 object made? Yes, in which method is the M1 object made? This is the method name. Which method? Main. Now main method can have direct access to every part of the structure. Whichever attribute main method wants, it can access directly. Just give a dot operator and it will permit it. It will not stop it. It will permit it. Manufacturer name. So if you want to assign the manufacturer name, you cannot do a character with the equal to, right? So what do we do? Okay. So this will be copied into which variable? No, this will be the model name, right? This is the model. So we'll if you want to get the MFG name, then only Samsung will come. Blah blah blah. So now if I would go and for example, I would make a function test function. Then would test also directly have access to all the attributes? Just it has what is the prerequisite? All it has to do is yeah, just declare the object. Okay. So where I'm copying this into M2 dot manufacturer name, right? So this was a restriction using a structure means there was no security to this data. Whichever method got access of the object, it was directly able to access all the data of that structure, leading to the compromise in the security. Okay. So let's say this I wanted to do display mobile. So is display mobile able to access all the attributes? So let's say accept mobile. Is accept mobile able to access the attributes of the mobile structure? Yes, no, maybe. Yes. Okay. Then if I would say I want to display the mobile data, so I'll make a function called display mobile. So then this what will this do is, and if I would pass as a parameter, let's say, so the display function I would pass a mobile argument as a parameter, mobile object. Okay, let's say I pass M2 as a parameter. Then was it able to display all the attributes of M2? If I'm using C++, let's say M2 dot IMPINO M2 dot manufacturer name. Yes, no, maybe. So it has got the object reference, it is displaying that. Okay, now there is some function called as test. The function called as what? Test. Okay. Now this test function also gets hold of the object and it can also access all the data directly. So the test function has got hold of the object. It can directly access all the data of the class. Yes, no, maybe. So the accept mobile and display mobile were legitimate functions. I wanted them to have access to the mobile data private to the mobile class, this properties of the mobile. But this test function, I don't want to give access. The test function should not be able to access the attributes of the class directly. Okay, I'm adding a catch over here. Okay, now you got to focus on this word. Which word? So there is a difference between access and direct access. So what is the difference between access and direct access? So I want the accept mobile and display mobile to have direct access. Indirectly they can access it. But I want to restrict the test function from having direct access to the attributes. So what will I do? So then what we do is we put remove the struct now and then we use a class. So what that class will do is it will give a restriction and only those functions which are inside the class. So is void main will not be a part of the data class. So void main will be an independent function. So we can discuss that later on. So now which functions are there in my mobile class at the moment? Yes, which functions are there? That's it. And I close the class. Except function and display, accept and display. And I close the class. Now whatever functions are there are now are outsiders to that class. So now is test part of the class or is it outsider? Outsider. Is main a part of the class or is it an outsider? Class starts and ends over here. Is test a part of the class? No. Is main a part of the class? No. Normally we have a separate class for main. In Java, normally we have a separate class for main, exclusively for main. That class is made exclusively for the main method only. Apart, don't use that. That we will have one class customized only for main. We call that as a driver class. So I will say, or the application class. So I'll combine it into application driver. This will be my class. So we have one dedicated class, always remember, which is only for main, one separate class. In C, the main was an independent function, right? No need to put main into any class. But here in Java, you can put main into any class. You could have put main over here also, but that is not the best practice. So I could have put main over here also. Public static void main, blah blah blah, main function, main close, and then the class close. This also is possible, is permissible, but it is not the good practice. So now is main a part of the mobile class? So can I put a main a part of the mobile class? Is it permissible? Yes, no, maybe, should, but is it advisable? Yeah, but why is it not advisable? It's not advisable that you should have a separate class for main. That's why we have kept a separate class for main. Okay. So now only those functions which are part of that class, those functions only can have direct access to this data. Now I've secured this data. So I've encapsulated. What have I done? What have I done? Encapsulated the data and the method. Which method? which have what? Direct access to that data into a single unit called as called as class. So what is the feature of encapsulation? Encapsulation dictates that we bundle the data and the method which can have direct access to that data into a single unit called as class, so that outsider functions cannot have direct access. Okay, I'm always uh, emphasizing on direct access. Outsider function can have access to the class data members, but they cannot have direct access. Okay, so this is the meaning of encapsulation. So you all can research on the OOPS properties and OOPS attributes and prepare a documentation PPT of your own as to what all these six main OOPS attributes. Okay, try to understand what you are trying to present in the PPT. Don't just blindly copy and paste. One each and every line you should understand before explaining. So this is the reason why we have a class, so that whatever data I am storing, I will give permission to only those functions which are within that class. Outside functions will not have direct access to my data over here. Okay, so let's go and make a class now. This okay, we are starting with the OOPS concepts from today. So today should be a landmark day in our career wherein we started with the OOPS concept in Java. As freshers, you will be asked a lot of questions. Most of the questions of in your interview as freshers would be circling around these six topics only. So whenever you make a class, make sure you put it into a package. Okay. So let's go and make a class. Maybe the same class as one we made right now. Mobile. And now you can think of the attributes which can all have. Okay. I'm giving simple attributes. I'm giving mobile number. Okay now, to make it life simple for you. And now array of characters has made way for strings. Okay, so string, manufacturer name, string, model name, string, double price. Okay, now if you want to restrict them from direct access, you have to give the access specifier over here. So I will give what to them. So and you have to individually give private. Okay, what was it in C++? You write private colon and no need to give individually, but here you have to give individually. Now if I make a function over here, public void accept mobile, can this function access this data directly? Yes, no, maybe. Yes or no? Are you guys there? Have I lost connection? Are you sure? Is it for everyone or is it only for this candidate? Are you able to see my screen? Yeah, so at least there's some problem with your internet connection. So manufacturer name, so this would be S20, and then give the price equals to, makes sense. So now this function was directly able to access all these attributes. Now if I make another class, okay, so let me, okay, write the display function also. So I'm hard coding the values, okay. I'm hard coding the values. Mobile number is, and concatenate it with the, and there are many detailing things which you have to understand while trying to understand the OOPS concept. And if on the start, if your concepts are clear, you will not struggle when you will venture into complex issues. So I'll try to set the examples from the beginning. So control spacebar, it gives you the attribute name. Control spacebar, it gives you, key control spacebar, it will give you. Okay, save it. Now will I write the main as a part of this class? Yes, no, maybe. Can I write main as a part of this class? Am I permissible to do it? Am I audible to you all? Uh, can I write the main function over here in the class mobile? But should I write it? Not a concern. So for main, we will make a new class. So I will go over here and make a new class. I will call that as my driver app. So going forward, whichever class I mark as driver app, I will add the main in it. Okay. Now, if you want to benefit from this class, you have to make its object. So class is just like a blueprint. So if there is a real estate developer and he has acquired a land, let's say it is a 100-acre land he has acquired, and now he wants to build some government quarters over here and give it to the government, and the government will pay him. Okay. So what he has done is he has hired a top architect, and the architect has given him a blueprint as to how one apart one building should look like. So this is the, so he has given me the entire architect. This is blah blah blah. Some he has given them the structure of the building like this. Okay. Now this architect has charged him 1 CR. How much? And this plan he has made in 2015. So how many years ago did he make this blueprint? 10 years ago. So and now since the last 10 years, this blueprint is being lying in his bank safe locker. So has the investment of 1 crore on this blueprint, is it fruitful or is it a dead investment till now? It hasn't been, he hasn't generated revenue from this right now, right? So in 2025, he gets the permission of building the quarters and the construction starts. Okay. So the first building which will be made, how will it look like? It will be identical to the blueprint, yes or no? Same to same. But this will be the real time building where people will come and stay. So what we saw on the blueprint was just a drawing on paper. But now this is the actual building where people will be staying. So he makes the first building and sells it to the government. The government gives him the payment. Okay, one building gets constructed into 1 acre. In how many acres? So like this, how many buildings can he make? Like this, how many buildings can he make in this land? One building takes 1 acre space. So he can make 100 buildings. Yes, no, maybe. Simple mathematics. And all those 100 buildings will look the same, correct? So he will name them then. He will name them building one, building two, just for identification. So if any postman comes to deliver something, for all they look alike, right? So he should not be confused and wondering which building to deliver the goods. So he will name them. This is building one, building two, and building three, correct? And like this, he can make how much 100 buildings? They all will look the same. If the thing is not in the blueprint, it will not be in the actual building. So can the civil engineer make one more room over here? Will it be allowed? Why will not? Why will it not be allowed? It was not a part of the blueprint. So you can visualize the blueprint as the class, okay, and you can visualize these actual buildings as objects, okay. So how many objects can I make from one class? If he acquires the neighboring 100 acres also, if he has acquired the neighboring 100-acre land also, now how many more buildings can he make? Now total how many buildings were there in this 100 acres? 100 buildings. And now the nearby 100 acre, how many buildings can he again make? 100 more, right? So the amount of memory you have, you can create those many objects, and each object will have the attributes of the class. So the class also serves as a blueprint for creating an object. Okay, so when you're explaining a class serves as a blueprint for creating object. So, so first definition of a class is the one which we gave for encapsulation. So what is the first definition of a class? What will you say? The data and the methods which can have direct access to that data, okay, are bundled into a single unit known as class. And second line you can define class as, so it is used as a blueprint for creating objects in Java. Okay. In JavaScript, there is a small change over here. JavaScript, you can create an object without creating a class. So you don't need a blueprint in JavaScript to create an object. Directly you can start creating objects without having to create a class, because JavaScript is object based and Java is object oriented. Java is Java is object oriented, and JavaScript is object based. So the difference between Java object based and object oriented is, object oriented language will have all the features of OOP. But an object-based language will not have all the features. It will only have a part, subset of these features. Okay, so you can directly make an object in JavaScript. No need to create a class. But in Java, if you wish to create an object, if you want to create a building, you have to first have its blueprint, right? Because the plan will not be passed. The municipality will not pass the plan if you directly start construction. You have to submit the plan to the government, and then based on that, they will pass the plan, and then you can, once permitted, you can start with the construction, right? So it is compulsory that you have a class before creating an object. Now, try to understand it like this. Now, of this mobile class, how many objects can I make? One, two, three, four. Yes, n number of objects. Okay, so I'll create the object over here. Okay, first. How to get object in Java? We had discussed it when we had made scanner, class name, object name, new, and new class name, and round brackets, right? This is a simple syntax. Okay, simple syntax to create an object in Java. Okay. Now this is for day one. Okay. So if day one, when you're learning Java, this is the simplest way of creating an object. But as you progress and as your understanding becomes more refined, we will see other ways of creating an object also. Now this object creation can be split into two halves. Now this is what I need to dissect. This is what is worth understanding, and this is something technical you can think of. This is what worth understanding now. Now how many equal to divides the expression into how many parts? And I have a equal to in mathematics, two parts. So what is this part called as? What is this part called as? Okay, I'll color them. Green part and red part. This is green part is what and red part is what? Yes, tell me. Green part is LHS, left hand side, right? LHS. RHS. Okay, so we'll be referring them as LHS going forward. Okay. So if any new person is watching the videos, he should be able to come to terms with the jargon which we are using. If I start using LHS, LHS, and if he's not familiar with these jargons, he might get confused as to what LHS actually means. So for their sake, we'll try to write over there. Okay, makes sense. Okay. Now what we have to understand is when I made this object, where is the object which I made initially? When we, so if I make an object of this class, so if this is my class, right? Now this is my class. So let me, this is my class. So what are the attributes in this class? These are the attributes, correct? And from this class now I make an object. So I'll make it with a rounded rectangle, the object. Okay. And I'll change the color to brown. So these rounded rectangles are the objects of which class? So will the object have a attribute called as memory? Yes, no, maybe. Anas has joined. will it have memory? So if I say MNO 101, manufacturer name is Samsung, and model name is S24 Ultra, and price is 65,000. To OnePlus. Okay, what is the latest model? I don't know the latest model. Let's say 12 Pro, and whatever. 45. Now, I'm trying to understand this. When I make a new mobile using a new keyword, a new memory is allocated to that mobile. Remember, so 1000 and 2000. The same way which goes for the string. So when I would make string with a new object, would it re- reuse the string already present, or every time a new object would be made? So even if that string would exist in the string constant pool, even though still a new string object would be made when I would use new keyword, correct? So when you use new keyword and you create an object in the memory, so in which memory is this object being created now? In the stack or the heap, Abdul Shakur? Heap. In the memory getting in the heap memory. Okay. So this is the RHS, new mobile. On the LHS, whatever is there is a reference. This is the pointer. Those who have studied C programming, this M1 is like a pointer, nothing more than that. This is just a pointer. We call it reference in Java. You guys, those who have studied pointers in C, will you will benefit now over here. Okay, it's just a reference. So now, where is M1 pointing to now? If I would have created two objects of this class, M1 and M2. Let's say this is M1 and this is M2. So where is M1 pointing to? Which address? And where is M2 pointing to? 2000. So M1 and M2, what are they? References. So if I would write over here, mobile M2 is new mobile, means what? There is a new mobile object, and there is a reference is pointing to it, right? M1 and M2 now, two objects are there. So these objects are allotted memory from the heap heap memory, correct? And these reference are there in the stack. In which memory? In the stack memory, M1 and M2. So you can think of it as like this. Okay, we had done this the same example for string constant pool. The same example we had done for string constant pool. This is the stack. This is my stack. My references will be where? In the stack. M1 pointing to which address? 1000. And M2 pointing to which address? And what is there at 1000? Samsung details. And what is there at 2000? Okay. Okay. Yeah, one plus details. Now, what do we use? Why do we use constant in C or C++? try to understand this concept. Okay? Once it is declared, it cannot be modified. Correct? Once it is declared, it cannot be modified. That is why we use constant, right? The equivalent for constant in Java is final. Okay, so that is why we say that learn C first before you want to venture out into learning any other programming, because now it is just mapping what we have learned into in C to new concept which we learn in the new programming language. So C is the mother of all programming languages. So those who have spent handsome amount of time practicing C will not struggle to learn any new language. Any new language you can learn if your C fundamentals are correct. So those who have understood the concept, the use of constant in C, they just have to use which keyword in Java? Final. But yeah, so final. Okay, now just us. Now you have to just add something new to your understanding. Concept remains the same, but just you have to keep on enhancing. So the final in Java is just like the constant, but something difference is there. I'll show the difference. So if I would make over here const float pi, and you declare constant with the capital, right? We've discussed this. So whenever you make a constant, you write it as a capital. So this is there. Okay. So what does this mean now? Can I assign this pi with a new value? So constant cannot be reassigned. Constant, the constant cannot be reassigned. This is the actual definition. Okay. What some people say is they cannot be modified. What they say is constant cannot be modified. This, yeah. So if I compare these two sentences, the correct sentence would be this: constant cannot be reassigned. Okay. So in Java, when you will understand, same goes to JavaScript also. Okay. Same goes to JavaScript. Constant cannot be modified, cannot be reassigned, which is true with regards to Java. Cannot be reassigned. So if I say pi equal to 3.15, is it possible? Not possible. Okay. So same now, and now try to get this. Okay. Now this should be a bit slippery. So but I'll try to make it simple. Okay. Now is this mobile con M1 final? Did I add the final keyword over here? So can it be modified? Can I go and change the manufacture or the price from 65,000 to 75,000? Can I change it? I can change it, right? Very good. Okay. But if I go and do the mobile M2 as final mobile M2, and if I go and change this to 55,000, will it allow me? Why no? Because because M2 is M2 is a final, and final cannot be. No, this understanding is not correct. By reassign means final M2. Where is M2 pointing to? To the it cannot be assigned to any other memory address apart from 2000. Whatever is there at 2000 can be modified. See, this doesn't, I said no. In other languages, what you say cannot be modified. In Java, you can modify it. So when I say final mobile M2, so where is M2 pointing to in the stack? In the stack memory, where is M2 pointed to? Which address? In the stack memory 2000. And if I made it final, it cannot point to any other memory address going forward. Okay, see, let me show it to you all over here. Content can be changed. Yes. So when I say final mobile M2 means now M2 in its entire life cycle cannot point to any other memory address apart from this. Okay. Whatever content is there at M2, it can be modified anytime. So final is for the address, not for the data. Getting it? It has nothing to do with the part of the object. Final will only be that once M2 is pointing to a particular address, it cannot point to any other address. Is M1 final? Okay, yeah. Let's try to do it over here. Let's try to do it practically. Let's try to do it practically. So I would have liked the concept of pointer before. Okay, M1. So you all know constructors, guys. So I'll just write a parameterized constructor over here to understand the things better. I'll go in detail later on about constructor. First, I'll just, for example, sake, I need to explain that. So in the Eclipse, it is very easy to write a constructor. You just right click, go to source, and say generate constructor using field. Select it, select all the fields, and the constructor is ready. So this is which constructor parameter, the non-parameterized, the function with the same name as of the class, right? And whenever you write a parameterized constructor, always make a habit of writing empty non-parameterized constructor. I will go in detail later on. Just for the argument's sake, I'm doing it right now to explain what is final reference. So reference understanding is very important. So which is the reference over and which is the object over here? Yes. Does M1 require memory? Does M1 occupy memory? Memory is occupied by the object, right? M1 is just a pointer. Pointer doesn't occupy memory, correct? Or occupy very negligible memory. So I come here now and I want to make an object using this constructor. So first I want to pass mobile number. So I pass 101. Then I pass the string name. So what is the second model name? Is manufacturer name? Samsung S24 Ultra and price 75,000 point zero double one. So I've got this object ready now, correct? Object is there and the reference is what? M1, correct? Same, I make one more object now, M2, and we'll put these details 1021 plus 12 Pro at 55,000, correct? Now, is the M1 reference final? So now where is M1 pointing to? Address 1000, okay. Address is the computer generated. I'm just assuming it is 1000, simple number, right? Okay. Now let's try to see. So now if I make a new object over here, new mobile, and I pass another one, okay, 103, Apple and iPhone 16 Pro Max and 135 0.0. Now what have I done over here? Mobile is mobile. Okay. What is happening over here? Who will tell me? A new object is made or new reference is made? New object is made. So that new object you will visualize in the heap has been made something like this at address 3000. Let's say assume address 3000. Correct? At which address has the object been made at? Address 3000. Okay. Just give this simple number to understand it better. Once this S sinks in, no, then you become unshakable in the interview and nobody can confuse you. Normally, it's the freshers. Normally, what is there, they get confused very easily. If the same question is asked by the interviewer in a different, if we frame the same question in a different sentence, then we try to get confused. So we'll try to concrete the understanding in such a way that is you will become unshakable in your understanding. So Apple 15 Pro Max and 135. So as it is made with the new keyword means some ob- memory has been allocated to it at address 3000. Okay. Now my question to you all is which reference is pointing to this Apple mobile? Which reference is pointing to Apple mobile? No reference. If I say M1 equals to now what has happened? So M1 which was pointing to where? 1000 is now being reassigned. Is being what? Reassigned. Which address? 3000. So what changes will happen in the stack? This will become 3000, right? Yes or no? Correct? Now, if I go and make this as final, what do you think? Will it allow me or not allow me? See, do you see a red line under M1? What does that mean? Once it has been assigned 1000, means what? Once it is assigned 1000, going forward, it will not be reassigned to any address. Let's check the error. What is it telling? What will you do this? Cannot be assigned. A final local variable cannot be assigned. It cannot be assigned. Getting it? So for that, then I'll have to go and tell, okay, I'll use M2. So can I use M2 now? M2 can be reassigned because it is not final, correct? So let me say I use M3. I use what? M3. Now it's all good. Now, can I modify the price of M3? And I say M3 dot as they are private now, no? As they are private, it cannot be accessed directly. Okay, so let's go and make it public for the sake of the argument. Okay, I want to explain the references. So for that purpose, I want to make it private, public. So understand the reference is itself a task in programming. People get confused what is the reference, what is the object. Now, if I come over here and say M3 dot price equal to 145, will it allow me to change it? Yes, no, maybe. So how come it modified it? Because it is that in the object. This is in the object. What did I modify the object? So if I do the same on M1, will it allow me? If I do the same on M1, will it allow me? So I know who said no. The reference cannot be reassigned, right? The object can always be modified. So see, M1 dot price, what did I say? 75. So let's say you give me a discount of 10%. So how much will be the new price, Umar? After discount of 10%? 7,500 less. So it will be what? 67,500. So see, this is a proof. I am able to modify the data in the object, but the reference cannot be reassigned. Am I understood? Don't get the final keyword wrong. Don't get the final keyword wrong in the interview. It's not like the const of C. Okay, just it's a similar one but not identical. So when I say final to an object reference means this object reference now cannot be reassigned to any other object. The data in that object can always be modified because data is in the heap. I am modifying from the heap. Reference is in the stack. You cannot modify the stack, but the heap can be modified if, even though the data is final. Yes, no, maybe. Any confusion? What is the final? What is the final reference? What is the final reference? What is the difference between final mobile M1 and what is the difference between mobile M2? Very, very. Yes. So get this. So my purpose of conducting this session, I will reiterate this again and again and again, brainwashing you all, so that it comes in your subconscious mind what we are targeting. In the interview, this will be the small changes which the examiner will ask, and on based on that, he or she will try to judge you. And if your core concepts, if you are weak, by core concepts, I mean these. Where is the I read them in the start. This is a core concept. If you are weak in your core concept, you don't know what is an object, and you can't differentiate what is an object and what is a reference. So you got to treat the LHS and RHS as two different entities. LHS is totally different. Referencing is totally different in Java, and objects is a different ball game altogether. So whenever you use new keyword followed by the class name, that time a new object is made in the heap memory. And if you want later on to use that object, so you can point a reference to it so that with the help of the reference you can use that object. So if I only write over here new mobile, a new object has been made. Okay, let's copy the same details so that I don't waste time. Now, is it a new object made or not? But now, if I want to display the name of that object, how will I do it? Yes. So, if you want to use that object, Java says make a reference which points to that object, and with the help of that reference, you can use that object. Getting it? So, as Java is a high level language, as Java is a high level language, it restricts access to memory location. So you cannot directly access them. You cannot say once if this object goes at address 4000, you cannot say 4000 dot get mobile get manufacturer name. It will not allow you this. You cannot directly query the you cannot directly query the access the memory. Why? Because Java is a but okay. Assembly languages assembly languages low level language is what? So in assembly level language directly you can do this. MOV whatever data is there at address 1000 store it into the variable A. This you can directly do it. So directly you can target the memory. Whatever data is there at which address, store it in which variable. This can be done in assembly level language because it is a low level language. You can directly target the memory. This can also be done in C also because C is mid level language. What is C? So whatever can C means it can program the hardware also. So C can work both as a low level language and as a high level language. C has this facility of working as both because it is a mid level language. It can go in both the extremes. So with C you can use the pointer and with the pointer directly you can access the memory, correct? But Java is a high level language. So Java will not directly give you access to the memory. So Java will make a human readable reference point to that memory and the programmer will interact with a human readable reference. Am I understood? So if you want to access the price of this object, Java has made a human readable reference. You can give whatever name you want to give to it. Mobile 3. So, and then using this human readable reference, you can do whatever task you want to do. If you want to manipulate its percentage, price, blah, blah, blah. Okay, now this should again be interesting. If I come over here and change, what did I change the price to? 145, right? So was it did it allow me to change it? Did it allow me to change it? Allowed. Now if I come over here and if I come over here and say public final mobile price, now will it allow me? No, because now it is a final, okay? And you cannot reassign it. So final value you have to give at the time of declaration only. When you declare, when I say in C, when I would say const float pi, can I just directly do this much and say later on pi equals to 3.14? So const has to be, so if it is a data member, then you have to write the price over there itself. And now you can't reassign it. So you can't pass as a constructor argument because you have to cannot modify it. And if you can't modify it, then everything will collapse now. Everything in the main will also collapse. This constructor does not. Okay. So we'll not go into that detail right now. So I just wanted to show you all what is the final reference and what is the final property. So this is a final. This is a final property. A class has property and method. This is which property? Final property. So when you give a final property means you have to declare it there and then itself and it cannot be modified. So now let's remove it. So as we progress, we'll gradually learn new things. Today, if you can even understand what is a reference, is more than sufficient. So you can research this today. So ask ChatGPT. Mobile M2 is new mobile. Please explain me the left hand side and the right hand side and see what ChatGPT explains it to you. So what it says, the LHS is called what and the RHS is called what. Is that making sense to you all guys?